Okay, so while I'm out today, y'all are going to be doing law of sines, and then tomorrow you're going to be doing law of cosines. This is something you have seen before in your geometry class. I would assume, I know with it being weird from last year, some of y'all in May may not have had that chance. I'm not sure where it falls in the curriculum there, but law of sines, law of cosines is something you'll see in both Algebra 2 and pre-cal as well. So, law of sines. Let's first look at our area of a triangle. So the main thing you need to notice about this triangle, it does not matter where you put A, B, C, the angles, but it does matter if you put A, B, C down, then your sides are directly across from the side that it applies to. So what I mean by that is I could put A up here if I wanted to, and B here and C here. I just have to make sure my side A, my side C, and my side B are directly across from each other. Okay, so the area of a triangle, if you are given two sides and an opposing angle, you can simply just do 1/2 those two sides and then sine of the opposing side or opposing angle. That's your formula you'll need to know for that. Okay, so let's look at this one. So we have two sides, and we have the angle that's in between the two. So to find the area, we're simply just going to do 1/2 10 times 5 and sine of 31 degrees. Okay, notice how I said degrees. Degrees, 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 degrees. Okay, one thing that you'll notice about trig, the only way you can really screw up on these problems is if you don't have your calculator in the correct mode. Okay, so in your calculator, click mode, which is right next to second, and go down to where it says radian or degree. So you want to go over to degree and press enter and make sure degree is highlighted. Now you can plug in 1/2 10, that's 5, and then sine of 31. You don't need to put the degree symbol in. And depending on how many decimal places they ask you to do, oops. And that's your answer, okay? So again, huge, huge, huge that your mode in your calculator has to be in degree. And for the most part, for all of these particular problems, you will be in degree mode, okay? Same thing here. Pause it, try this one on your own, and then unpause it to figure out if you got the correct answer. Just for recording purposes, I'm going to keep going, but I encourage you again to pause it and then unpause it. Okay. So that's how we're going to find the area of a triangle when we're given two sides and an angle that is has nothing to do with those two sides. Now, law of sines. It's funny to me because they give you this formula in pre-cal, which makes me laugh because it is the least of your worries on formulas. You're like, I could use some other ones. But basically what law of sines is saying is that we can take an angle and its opposite side and find sine of that angle divided by its side and set it up with a proportion to sine of some other angle in its side, okay? So we're going to be looking at both law of sines and law of cosines. And a lot of times with formulas, it's hard to realize. Of course, the bells are still ringing here. I'm here on that in-service day recording these for y'all. It's sometimes hard to look between different formulas to figure out which one I use for what. So in this particular case between law of sines and law of cosines, it's super obvious. If you don't have an angle and its opposite side, you can't do law of sines, okay? Sometimes you can work your way around it and you can find it, but again, if you don't have it, then you don't use it. So you use law of cosines, okay? So let's look at what we have going on here. So we have a triangle. We have P, Q, and R. Again, it doesn't matter where you put what, as long as your sides are opposite of their angles. Okay? So my R value is 39. My Q value is 32. And P to Q is 40. And they want to know what RQ is. Okay? So looking at this information so far, we've got an angle and its opposite side. We've got another angle, 32 degrees, but we don't know its side. So if we look at this triangle, hopefully you remember a little bit back from when you were in geometry that a whole triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So if we subtract 32 and 39 from 180, we should get 109. Okay, so now I have an angle in its opposite side over 40. And if I'm interested in this side over here, I now have its angle. So I just set it like a proportion. And we can call this X if we want to. Super simple there. Okay. Y'all love doing this. We're just going to simply cross multiply. So X sine of 39 is equal to 40 sine of 109. And to get X completely by itself, I'm going to divide by sine of 39. So the hardest part here is, can I plug it into the calculator correctly? If you are not using alpha y equals, make sure you're using tons of parentheses. Again, if you've done anything to your calculator, again, make sure it's still in degree mode. You can look at the top if you have a newer calculator. It says degree at the top. And unless they tell us a certain amount, again, if I'm not being picky about how many decimal places, then I can't be picky when I'm grading it. So another thing you want to look at too is when you look at your final answer for that side, notice how 40 was the side that went along with 39. Okay, the angle 39. If I have the angle 109 degrees, then my answer should be bigger than 40 because my angle was bigger. Okay, so again, just those little checks to make sure you plugged it in correctly. Okay, and that's pretty much how a lot of these are going to run. I'm going to run through a bunch of these examples. Like I said, pause them and then try them on your own and come back and see if you got the correct answer. So this one was actually easier than the one before because we didn't have to solve for the missing angle. We were actually able to look at an angle in its opposite side as well as an angle into the side we were missing and that we were solving for. Okay. All right, same thing here. I'm looking at this particular problem. They want to know angle S. So right now, I only have enough information to find first angle T. Then from there, I can subtract those angles from 180 and solve from there. What I would suggest, if they don't tell you a decimal, I would suggest that you stick with the same. If they're doing whole numbers, then you stick with whole numbers as well. So if I set this up, okay. So with this particular problem, it's a little bit different because now we're solving for an angle measure. So I'm still going to divide by 9. But now I'm left with finding the angle of T, okay? So with that being said, in your calculator, you have that little inverse button, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to do the inverse of sine of 7 sine of 110 all over 9, okay? So we want to know what the angle measure is, so we're going to use the inverse of sine, so second sine. We're going to plug the rest of that in. And I get my T value. Like I said, we're going to round up. I got 46.959. So I'm going to do 47 degrees only because this one right here is a whole number as well. So then I simply just do 180 minus the 47 minus the 110. And I should get that my measurement of angle S should be 23 degrees. Okay. So when you don't know the angle, you're going to use the inverse. Okay. And that's same for cosine and tangent as well. Okay. Let's try another one of those examples. And we are looking for P this time, so we don't have to subtract in the end. And they used 1 decimal place. So go ahead and pause this and try this one on your own. And I should get the measurement of P, to be equal to 68.4 degrees. Okay. And you're going to get to a point too where they could turn around and then say to solve for the entire triangle. Okay. It'd be easy then to find the missing angle. You just do 180 minus all of that. And if we plug that in, then we can simply do law of sines again to find the missing side. Okay. Any questions? Well, listen to me. I'm so used to asking y'all for questions, and there's no one in this room right now, and y'all can't talk to me through there. If you do have questions, please message me and let me know if any of that did not make any sense to you. Let me reference back to this last problem, like I was just saying, real quick, in case they did ask you to solve the entire triangle. Like I said, the last angle that's missing would be easy to find. All you have to do is subtract. So we would find 14.1 here. Okay. And then from there, I would do law of sines one more time to figure out the missing side of Q. I personally would use the angle measure and side that they have given us because I know that that is 100% correct. Okay. I could use P if I wanted to, but in this particular case, I have to make sure that I'm able to use one that is exactly correct. Okay. So again, I would do law of sines there to figure that one out. And again, in reference to all my angles and my sides, since 14.1 is my smallest side, I better have, or smallest angle, then my side Q should also be my smallest side. Okay. Let me double check something real quick before. Hang tight. Let me double check one more thing before I stop this video. Okay, that is when my pre-cal brain and my algebra 2 brain kind of collide because like I said, you're going to be doing this in pre-cal. I had to double check that in algebra 2, y'all don't do what's called an ambiguous case, which according to your book, I don't think you do. But basically to kind of give you a heads up to what that actually is, the ambiguous case basically means like, for instance, this problem that's currently showing. We just solved for an angle. So notice how your calculator, and again, we'll get into a lot of this stuff when we dive deeper into the actual pre-cal stuff and the trig stuff and whatnot, that there could be possibly two angles that fit that answer. So the ambiguous case allows for not only for you to be able to have one triangle as an answer, you could have no triangle as an answer, but then you could also have two triangles as an answer. So like I said, that's more of a pre-cal concept. That's why I had to grab y'all's textbook real quick to double check that my mind wasn't going the wrong way with that. So in regards to law of sines and algebra 2, that's all for that lesson. Make sure you do the homework and show your work with those. Again, just make sure you're staying on top of things. If you get done before class is up, work on any missing work you have from me. If not, then quietly work on something else. Okay? Have a good day.